What's up everyone, and welcome back. You are here with Kara Corey from Kara Corey Fit Life, and today we are cooking with whey, and I just so happen to be the wizard of whey. And today what we're gonna make are some healthy zucchini pumpkin muffins. Before we get started with the recipe, I want to mention to you guys that Tiger Fitness has recently started a really cool rewards program, so you guys can check that out on the website. Gonna link that in the description below, but basically you guys have tons of opportunities to earn points that are gonna give you rewards. So whether it's reviewing the content on the website and commenting or sharing things on your social media, this is a way that Tiger Fitness is trying to give back to you guys because you're more than just a number. So make sure to check that out. Now to get started for today's recipe, we are gonna make muffins, but if you prefer to make it into a loaf or do a bread, you can certainly do that. The cooking time is gonna vary a bit if you decide to do it that way, but I had picked up this fun little Halloween muffin pumpkin face thing at Marshall's, I believe. So I'm gonna use this today to make my muffins, but you guys can just use a regular muffin pan. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. This recipe is fairly simple, even though it utilizes a bunch of different ingredients. We're using a bunch of wholesome nutrition ingredients to make a super delicious fall muffin. So we're gonna first take a bowl and we're gonna mix together our few dry ingredients to get those going. And what I'm gonna use today is some organic whole wheat flour. You guys could sub this out if you're gluten-free, if you're dairy-free. Lots of ways to easily substitute this recipe today to meet your own nutritional needs. But I've got measured out here, we're gonna use 1 1/4 cup of the whole wheat flour. So go ahead and dump that in your bowl. And then for today's protein, I am testing out and using the brand new all natural whey isolate, which is 100% grass-fed whey that just came out on tigerfitness.com. This is available in vanilla ice cream, which is what I'm using today, and it's also available in chocolate. So if you guys want to check it out, this is an all natural option utilizing grass-fed cows. You are going to find this is a bit more expensive, so when you're utilizing a grass-fed whey, the protein content is a higher quality protein. In addition to that, you are, kind of treating the environment a bit better and leaving less of an ecological footprint in the world, which isn't a bad thing to do as well. So make sure to check this out. For the recipe today, we're going to use 1.5 scoops. And in terms of flavor, just using this as a protein shake, I gotta say the vanilla ice cream is my favorite right now. It's very light flavored. You can tell it's all natural, nice and creamy and delicious. So we are gonna go ahead and mix this up and add a couple spices to it. We're gonna add a teaspoon of cinnamon. Here's my cinnamon. If you want to get fancy with the spices, you can. You could add a little nutmeg, you could add some ginger, you could add some cloves. I'm just going to add the 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then I'm going to add the pumpkin pie spice, and add 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. And I think that'll do it for giving it a nice fall flavor. In order to make our muffins rise, we're going to use some baking soda, and we're going to add 1 full teaspoon of baking soda. That is gonna do it for our dry ingredients. So I'm just gonna mix that around real quick and then set that aside. Next, taking a larger bowl, we're gonna go ahead and mix all our wet ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to add, today I'm using Silk unsweetened cashew milk, and we're gonna use a 1/2 cup of that. I'm gonna go ahead and dump that into our bowl. I've got 1 whole egg here. I already whisked it up. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there. Now, part of the essence of this recipe is the zucchini. And if you're someone that doesn't like zucchini, so you've already been turned off by the fact that I mentioned it, I promise you're not gonna eat these muffins and think it tastes like a vegetable. Zucchini does not have a strong flavor to it at all. It really kind of doesn't taste like much of anything, but what it can do in a baking recipe is add a nice amount of moisture to it. So instead of using a ton of fat in a baking recipe, adding in some zucchini, adding in some pumpkin significantly decreases the fat content, and it doesn't taste like the fat's missing. So what I did was I shredded pretty much a medium-sized zucchini, which ended up being 1 full cup of shredded zucchini. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that to this bowl. What I also did is I took the zucchini after I shredded it, and I basically tried to get as much moisture out of it as I could You do want it in the recipe for moisture, but you don't want it too wet. So try to squeeze out with a towel or paper towels as much moisture as you can. We're next going to use 3/4 a cup of pure pumpkin, and that's gonna give us a good source of fiber in this recipe, vitamin A, and again, it helps substitute for some of the fat that we don't need to add into these muffins. Now for a sweetener, I'm going to use this Golden Light Blue agave, but you could substitute in there pure maple syrup, you could use a local honey, or if you wanna cut down on calories, you could do a sugar-free syrup as well. And with the agave, we're gonna add 1/4 of a cup, and that's gonna be our sweetener for this recipe. We are gonna add a little bit of fat to this, and I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. I went ahead and I just melted that in the microwave for about 30 seconds. So now that we've got everything in our bowl, we're just gonna go ahead and mix this around. We're also gonna add 1 full teaspoon of pure vanilla extract into our wet ingredients. Once we have this all mixed up, you're gonna go ahead and take your dry ingredients and dump them in and mix them into your wet ingredients. You definitely don't want to overmix the batter, because when you're cooking muffins or a bread loaf, if you overmix it, it is going to create the mixture, the batter, to come out with little peaks, and it's not going to have as good of a quality to the texture. Now the last thing we're going to add are just some fun add-ins. It's optional if you want to add these or not, but what we're going to add here is some organic dark chocolate chips. Again, if you're someone that needs to make this dairy-free, you could buy the dairy-free version. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of those, and we're also going to add in 1/4 cup of some coconut flakes. I am using the sweetened version. You could do unsweetened if you want. I just like the consistency of the sweetened better. So we're gonna go ahead, dump those in there, and just lightly fold it into the batter. You already mixed up the batter, so truly just kind of fold all those yummy additions in there. I'm gonna take 1/4 cup and dump that into each of my little pumpkin faces. I like using a measuring cup because it helps ensure that each of your muffins are gonna be the same size, which is important when you're cooking it. That way they all cook evenly. I'm gonna go ahead and put my first batch of muffins in the oven, 350 degrees, and I'm gonna cook them for about 15 to 20 minutes. All right, guys, this recipe yielded for me 15 muffins, and it'll yield about 12 to 15 depending on what size muffin tins you use, but they turned out super cute. You can actually see the little, I don't know if you guys will be able to, but the little pumpkin faces on them. They came out great. They're nice. They get like a little crisp to the outside, but stay nice and soft and moist on the inside. These are nice, dense muffins that you guys will really enjoy. I think you'll find that they help satisfy a sweet tooth, but also provide you with a good source of nutrition. An easy way to sneak in some vegetables using the zucchini and the pumpkin to add some fiber to your diet. So I hope you guys give these little babies a try. Hit that like button. Keep checking back for more.